Hi friends! Today, let's read a beautiful fairy tale. The title of this fairy tale is Rapunzel. Read along with me. Let's start. Long ago, a man and his wife lived in a small cottage. The couple had been childless for a long time, and after years of wishing, the wife was due for a child. The cottage where they lived had a small window overlooking a beautiful garden. The garden belonged to a wicked witch. A high wall surrounded it, and no one ever dared to enter it. One day, as the wife sat by the window, she saw some rampions growing in the garden. I wish I could eat them, she thought. As the days passed by, her longing to eat the rampions grew stronger, and it made her pale and miserable. Her misery worried her husband. One day, he asked her, "What is troubling you, dear?" His wife replied, "I want to eat the rampions that grow in the witch's garden. I shall die if I do not eat them." When her husband heard this, he was frightened, but he still climbed over the high wall and landed in the witch's garden. He then uprooted a handful of rampions and bought them for his wife. The wife made a salad out of it and ate them with great delight. However, once she finished eating the rampions, she craved for more. The next morning, the wife begged her husband for more rampions. So once again, the man stealthily climbed down into the garden and began to pick rampions. Suddenly, the witch appeared in front of him. "How dare you enter my garden and steal my rampions?" she screamed in rage. "You shall pay for this. Please forgive me. My wife is due for a baby and longs to eat them," said the man, trembling with fear. Hearing this, the witch said, "You may take as many rampions as you want, but promise me that you will give me your first child." The man knew his life was in danger, so to save himself, he agreed. A few days later, a beautiful baby girl was born to the couple. How happy they were! However, the happiness was short-lived. As promised, the man had to give the baby away to the witch. "I will call her Rapunzel," the witch said, and went away with the baby in her arms. Rapunzel grew up to be a pretty girl. When she was 12, the witch was afraid that she would run away, so she locked her in a tower in a dense forest. The tower had no doors or stairs. The only opening in the tower was a window at the top. Whenever the witch wanted to climb up the tower, she would stand below it and cry, "Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel had beautiful long hair. She would let her hair down the window, and the witch would use it like a rope to climb up the tower. A few years passed. One day, a prince came hunting in the forest. As he passed by the tower, he heard a beautiful song. Enchanted by its melody, the prince stood there for a long time. "I wish I could see the singer," he thought. However, then he looked at the tower carefully. He was surprised to see that there was no way to enter it. The prince decided to wait for some time. A little later, the prince saw the witch going towards the tower. He hid behind a tree and watched her. To his amazement, he saw a long plate come down the window, and the witch climbed up with its help. "Now I know how to climb up the tower," thought the prince. The next day, the prince came back to the tower and called Rapunzel, "Let down your hair." Immediately, Rapunzel let down her hair, and the prince climbed up. When he reached the top and met Rapunzel, she was frightened, for he was a stranger. The prince told her how he had heard her singing and how much he loved her songs. The prince began to visit Rapunzel every day. One day the prince asked her, "Rapunzel, will you marry me?" "Yes, I will," replied Rapunzel shyly. "But there's no way I can climb down if you bring me some silk thread. I will wave a ladder with it and climb out." The prince agreed. Meanwhile, the witch knew nothing about the prince. A few days passed by. One day, Rapunzel accidentally asked the witch, "Mother, why is that you're heavier than the prince who comes to meet me?" When the witch heard this, he shouted in anger, "You wicked child! You have deceived me!" Angrily, she snipped off Rapunzel's hair. Then she dragged Rapunzel to a desert and left her there. The witch returned to the tower and waited for the prince. When the prince came, she let down Rapunzel's hair. The prince climbed up and was shocked to see the witch. "You'll never see Rapunzel again," she said, smiling wickedly. She rushed to kill him, but the prince jumped out of the window and fell on some thorns at the foot of the tower. The thorns pierced his eyes and the prince lost his sight. The prince wandered for many days looking for Rapunzel. At last, he came to the desert where Rapunzel was living in misery. One day, while walking through the desert, the prince heard a sweet song. He followed the voice and soon he met Rapunzel. When Rapunzel saw him, she was very happy. But when she came to know about the prince's blindness, she filled with sadness. She held him and wept bitterly. When her tears fell on the prince's eyes, a miracle happened. The tears healed the prince's eyes. He could see again. The prince and Rapunzel returned to the prince's kingdom, where they got married and lived happily. As for the witch, she remained in the tower forever. Wow, what a great story! Did you like the story? Then like, share and subscribe.